Let's go. So let's break down this LSU matchup against Mississippi State. This is State's second game of the season, going up against NC State, the Wolfpack. Oh, woo! Ooh, ooh. Okay, that was a bad Wolfpack. It really was. But anyway, obviously NC State's in an odd front right here, and it is 3rd and 10. And to me, the most impressive thing I've seen so far from Mississippi State isn't necessarily that their passing game is super elite. It's that they do a great job of making difficult contested catches. Something else that's going to be very interesting about this matchup for LSU, let's put it this way. I think LSU's corners are going to be in for their toughest matchup of the season because this is going to be the best set of wide receivers that they've played up to this point. Now we get to here, okay? It's 4th and 7, and this is essentially the same thing. I like this front NC State is lined up in. This is a really light box. So they have coverage across the way here, and they bring an extra guy here to the line of scrimmage on this 4th down tackle. He actually got his legs chipped right there, so that's why he was able to get a pancake. But still, the main thing I want you to see, look at how good of a throw this is from Will Rogers, and this is their best wide receiver, Makai Polk. There's nothing you can do. Not even DEREK Stingley could have stopped that back shoulder throw. So, look, he would have covered it probably slightly better, but sometimes there's just nothing you could do when a ball is thrown that perfectly, okay? So what's very interesting is if you actually look at the recruiting rankings of Will Rogers and the wide receivers, they're all 3 stars. And they're just really experienced, and I'm not going to lie, they work really well together. And here's essentially the same thing. LSU's been doing more of this jet sweep motion themselves. So they run this jet sweep, and they're calling a blitz. It gets picked up, but still, clean pocket, and look at where this ball is delivered. Okay? Got a little bit of a push off there, but this is once again a really good contested catch. And remember, we were talking about Deion Smith not falling down to the ground. You notice NC State never really had just bad defense. There was never just a blown assignment. So that's why Mississippi State overall never could really pull away from NC State in this game, because it was the NC State's coverage was overall good. So while these difficult throws and difficult catches are good, obviously, for Mississippi State's offense, defensively, if you're LSU, I'll take those one-on-one matchups with my corners. And so now we finally get a play here where Mike Leach's scheme opens something up. Once again, very light box, and they have all these guys back here defending the pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. Okay? So it's tough to find ways to get guys open, but what they do is they fake this tunnel screen, and Austin Williams is the guy that actually gets involved. This was the guy that gave Cordell Flott nightmares last year, and obviously we're hitting him on this fake bubble. Both guys come down. Austin Williams is going right upfield, and that's the Mike Leach scheme for you, okay? And this guy held this safety right here, and that's how you get guys open when they drop 8. I have to give Jake Peetz a lot of credit. He ran some really good concepts to get guys open against 8-man coverages himself in this last game against Central Michigan, and you can obviously watch our film study from yesterday where you can see that right after the half. And let's go on ahead and show you this play right here. And look, this is just improvisation. Once again, this is not bad defense, okay? Rush 3, drop 8, and everything just looks covered here. I mean, they're running, this is vintage Leach running mesh here. And look, they're passing these things off. Is 5 open right here? No. Nothing's open. Nothing. But Will Rogers doesn't panic. And look, this offensive line is mauling these rushers, and he just sits in this pocket, fakes, and just waits for something to open up. And once he has his clear running lane and he sees this guy running full speed at him, he then hits marks for the easy touchdown right there. So Will Rogers, we've brought this up a few times. He is the last pocket quarterback LSU is going to face this season. That's if, of course, Haynes King gets healthy for Texas A&M. Even though Will Rogers can't run, and overall he is very sackable in that he's not going to brush off sacks if you actually get to him, he is very creative in the pocket. So Mississippi State's kind of a weird team, right? They started off the season with a win versus Louisiana Tech where they played really, really, really bad and still won. They played against NC State. They were okay, but they, for the most part, controlled that game and was able to win. And ironically, their best performance of the season was actually against Memphis in a game that they lost. As you guys saw on this play, this scoop and score touchdown was a self-inflicted wound. Okay, if you would have guessed that Mississippi State would go on in this game to outgain Memphis by 200 yards. So we pick it up here. One thing that's going to be key for LSU is getting off the field on third down. Something Mississippi State did a really good job of consistently was just finding ways to convert third and longs. And this time you're seeing a bomb right here by Will Rogers. And I want you to see this catch right here by Mekhi Polk. This is ridiculous. That is unreal. It looks like Deion Smith from last week. We want this. And look, he had to turn his body the other way and find this football, locate the football, high point the football, and he caught it so clean. Okay? Really impressive stuff. So now we get this 3rd and 1 here. And instead of course, running it, you know Mississippi State's not going to run it. They call a perfect slant here for a first down. Look at where this ball is put. Okay? So they slide protection to the right. Running back should have picked this up backside. And Will Rogers waits till the very last second to throw this ball. And while he's getting hit, throws a ball low and away. And once again, Mekhi Polk. I'm really shocked at how good Mississippi State is at catching these very difficult passes, okay? You couldn't call a better blitz than that. And look at where that ball is put. Is there contested catch ability? I don't even know if I've seen a team in the SEC make as many difficult catches as Mississippi State. I think one thing that they've done a really good job of is tighten their wide receiver rotation. When I watch them, the same wide receivers are playing almost every snap. Polk, Heath, Williams, and 11, whose name slips my mind right now. Once again, their offensive line, this is just simple. Mississippi State has a really good offensive lineman. I think Cross was actually a 5-star coming out. They're really solid. I'm really impressed watching them. And look, they're a Mike Leach offense. You know they're going to be good. So now here we go. Mississippi State's picking up this blitz really well. Will Rogers back to pass. And let's see what he does with this. And, yeah, I mean, that's just wide open. Okay, there's nothing contested catch about this at all. Yeah, it's just really impressive right there. Okay, good hustle by 6 to come make this tackle, or did he? And that's Wally, 11. He's like, dude, you forgot my name? I'm just going to make a play so you can remember my name. We continue here on this 3rd and 3. Okay. Once again, this is unlike Mississippi State of old. They're running the football. Look at Cross right here, turning this end inside. Look at that. That is really impressive. And, running back, you got to read that a little better. That could have been a touchdown. Good hustle. All right, so this is actually what you want from the LSU defense. Okay, we have them in 2nd and long right here. And, look, we actually get some good pressure here. And this isn't really anything out of the ordinary, okay? This is actually not a well-run loop or twist stunt over the middle, whatever you want to call it. 69 is looking to help over here when he probably should have stayed central to help out. But still, this is what we want right there. If the LSU coordinators are watching this, this is a sign to run a bunch of loops and twists. Up to this point, let's go ahead and see this rep right here. 38 seconds left to go, so of course they're going to be sagging off. Mississippi State has 2 timeouts left, and they're up 17-7. And once again, their offensive line, I like them, but they are capable of getting beat just with 4-man pressure. So, once again, very sackable quarterback. He can get a little creative in the pocket sometimes, but this is what we want, okay? Also, this is where Mason Smith is going to be lined up, all right? So if you're LSU and you're watching this film study, you can see that this right tackle can get bull rushed. And obviously Mason has that in his arsenal. And honestly, this get-off wasn't really that great. 78's footwork just got really sloppy. And this is just a really good sack right here. So, once again, if you're LSU, you're liking your matchup here. You're seeing that you can get home with your 4 guys. Okay, 2 things about this play. So, this was the crazy play that everyone made a big deal about. Okay, so the first thing is I would not be punting on 4th and 6 down 4 at around midfield. I thought Leach made a bad decision first off punting this ball. So, first thing is, for those that didn't see this, Memphis had 2 number 4s on the field. That is very clearly a penalty. But this is obviously, something that we talked about in our championship plays piece, okay? And this could have been prevented if you're Mississippi State. So this is a good job right here by the gunner to prevent this ball from going into the end zone. One stops it right there, okay? So the ball is dead, and the ref throws his beanbag and basically is signaling that this play is over, okay? Here's the issue, okay? When the ball is on the ground, always pick it up. Unless you are trying to down the football a little bit deeper, never leave a ball on the ground, ever, in any circumstance. Wait till a whistle's blown, pick it up, just be safe. You always want every play in football to end with you handing the football to an official. That is always the safest thing to do. So this could have been prevented. And look, you just simply got to pick that up. And once again, it shouldn't have counted. And Mississippi State got really unlucky, and of course, 4 housed it after that. Okay? Oh, come on, Starkville. We can't have nose-digging cheerleaders. But, this is the thing. When the ball is on the ground, pick it up, okay? Here we go, 1st and 10, and Will Rogers, they actually run this creative little shovel pass, okay? I like this play call, and 23 makes this guy miss. They actually had it sniffed out, and you just got to make these tackles in the open field. This is going to be a really rough game for LSU's linebackers because even though you haven't seen a whole lot of this in this film, Mississippi State's really good at throwing to their running backs out of the backfield, okay? And this is something that LSU has struggled with. There you go. Before I give you my final thoughts on Will Rogers, because he does lead the SEC in a few advanced categories, I'm also in a second going to give you my thoughts on the DEREK Stingley situation and what I think LSU needs to do defensively. Now, in the background, you see LSU. You see Louisiana Tech. They should have won this game. Obviously, Mississippi State had a miraculous comeback in the 4th quarter. But nevertheless, what we could take away from this is Will Rogers is a very capable quarterback. Now, before we get into any other breakdown about Mississippi State, I do have a very important suggestion for Ed Orgeron and his staff. Now, once again, I'm just some dude with a YouTube channel, right? And they probably do what I'm about to say anyway, but I do feel it is extra important. Now, this is going to be LSU's first true SEC road game for a lot of players. Also, LSU has not been a good 11 a.m. team. Now, 11 a.m. is not so big of a deal for some programs because they do play quite a few games at 11 a.m., but that is not the case at LSU. So it's going to be raucous, it's going to be early, and we have to remember who Mississippi State actually is, okay? This is a program that was a part of the most vicious brawl you will see at a college football program. As many of you know, last year, the Lockheed Martin Bowl, where Mississippi State beat Tulsa, ended with a very, very, very vicious brawl. Now, here's the thing. Both of these teams are one-loss teams, and you could talk to former college football players about it, but there is something to be said about that second loss. The second loss is where, you're officially out of the college football playoff race. Obviously, a lot of football players, after just one loss, they're like, okay, it's a fluke, we can come back. But when you have two early season losses, the locker room can be lost. And here's the situation is, obviously, there's a lot of rumors around the LSU football program about, Ed Orgeron's control of the program. And obviously, well, we saw what type of locker room Mississippi State keeps with what happened with the Lockheed Martin Bowl. So what does that mean? Well, either way, both of these teams are going to have, or one of these teams after Saturday are going to have, well, another loss. And LSU is a really young team, and Mississippi State actually has a lot of the players who were a part of that brawl back on their current team. So what does that tell you? Well, the first thing is Mississippi State has this in their arsenal. They have done this before. They are a very highly emotional team that at any second can launch into a brawl such as this one. And this is the most important thing about the brawl, okay? It's one thing, you get caught up in emotions, and it was a rainy, cruddy game against Tulsa. But another thing is, not only did Mississippi State get in the brawl, they had players such as Malik Heath, who we pointed out earlier, bragging about kicking a guy and running away from it, okay? And here's the crazy thing. Malik Heath, and the guy who really started the brawl was actually someone who is close to a lot of the LSU players, Aaron Brule out of New Orleans, who is a fantastic linebacker for them. And Aaron Brule's punch is one of the things that really started that brawl. And, it's just true. Now, here's the thing. None of the players involved in that brawl received a suspension for the season opening game. Now, Malik Heath didn't play in the season opener, but it was for cited personal reasons, according to Mike Leach. Whereas Tulsa actually suspended 6 players for their season opener. So not only did Mississippi State get in this brawl, there were no repercussions. Okay? So if you're Ed Orgeron, understand that Mississippi State, the guys that really started the brawl last year, were experienced players. And a lot of those guys are back. So I would let my locker room know that whether you win or whether you lose, don't get involved in extracurriculars. Don't get caught up with a 15-yard flag, because we know they're going to talk trash, and it's going to be hostile. It's going to be loud. It's going to make you feel very uncomfortable. It's going to be an atmosphere that a lot of these first and second year players have never experienced before. Now, let's talk about this DEREK Stingley situation. Look, we don't know a whole lot. At the time of this recording, Ed Orgeron, I believe right now, is speaking to the media, talking about the severity of it. What we could basically gather at this point is that there was something. And as many of you know, Sting does have a history of getting banged up, as does the rest of this team, apparently. And it quite simply, we just can't keep anyone healthy this year. I don't know exactly what the case is. We do know Sting has had not only injuries, he's had a wide variety of injuries. And this was something that we knew, obviously, last year. So, the one thing you do feel a little bit more comfortable about is that Dwight McGlothern did play some this last game, and he is starting to get healthier. We also know Sage Ryan is also stepping in the right direction, but still losing Sting potentially for the second straight year against a Mike Leach coach team is just very, very, very unfortunate. But whether or not DEREK Stingley will be playing on Saturday. Ed Orgeron might have just announced that he's out. Maybe it could be a good thing because LSU might reevaluate their man-to-man coverage principles. As many of you know, last year LSU just wanted to play man coverage underneath against a team that runs a lot of crossing routes. This is not what Louisiana Tech did against Mississippi State. Now, of course, they choked away the lead late, but their defense was really good at stopping the base concept of every air raid Mike Leach offense, which is mesh. In other words, deep crossers, okay? So let's just focus on the crossing routes that they're running here. This is Austin Williams. This is Makai Polk. Obviously, it's 3rd and 9. And what Mississippi State wants is just an easy completion on mesh, and hopefully they're running man coverage. You break a tackle and you pick it up, okay? But that's not what Louisiana Tech does, okay? They're showing a 3-high shell right here, an exotic front right here where there was only one defensive lineman in a stance. So this is what you really got to like about this Bulldogs defense on this play. And by Bulldogs, Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, there's so many Bulldogs. Our nickname is Tigers, so we can't really say anything. Anyway, you get this, okay? Where is the pressure coming from? Well, you don't know. What they actually end up doing, though, is they run essentially a twist stunt with the linebacker here, and they get an unblocked guy going to Will Rogers. Perfect stuff, okay? But notice what happens. Will Rogers sees that this is a 3rd and 9, and he sees if he throws this ball to Makai Polk, even if he catches it, this guy's going to come down and tackle him short of the sticks. So this is what LSU should have done last year. Let the mesh routes run underneath and just run up and tackle him. So Will Rogers probably should have stepped up into this pocket. But notice this. The deep routes aren't there either. They actually go into a 2-high where the safety is covering the intermediate middle. Okay, so you notice that was a really good coverage right there. They disguised it, showed a light box. They had a twist stunt that got home. Will Rogers could throw this to Makai Polk. That's where he probably should have thrown it anyway, and just hope that your playmaker can make this guy miss. But Will Rogers says, no, I got to make something happen. And like we showed you in our film study from 2 days ago, Max Johnson does this move far too often. Russell Wilson is who popularized this spin move to prevent a rush of an unblocked guy. The only problem is Will Rogers did it too soon, and the offensive tackle actually pushed the linebacker into the sack here, okay? And you'll see this stunt get home here. Look, they're actually running a double twist here, and one thing I've noticed is Mississippi State's front has struggled with these stunts this year. So that's obviously a really good thing if you're LSU. So here we go. We always give a nice little bonus play for those that wait till the end. And this is one of the few times Mississippi State has seen, more of a traditional 4-man look. This is a Louisiana Tech game. Even though these two guys are in standing outside linebacker positions, they're thicker players. So they're more traditional defensive ends. This play would have been even more effective if they were in LSU's traditional 4-man front and 3-point stances, and we'll show you why. So essentially we get this play action fake here on this bubble or tunnel screen, and this actually draws this linebacker. He is reading run, okay? This is going to be very key, all right? And we talked about this in our last film study, but from a Central Michigan perspective. I don't understand why defensive coordinators still have their linebackers key the run against teams that are going to throw a lot. We want them to run the football. So we don't want to overcommit our linebackers on play action fakes because you see 44 essentially takes himself out of the play on a run that is going to the right anyway. So because of that, 44 takes him out of the play to where he can't even make the tackle on the screen. These two guys continue their rush. They don't retreat on the screen quick enough. And guess what? We get this peel back block on this backer, and he wasn't even going to get close to making this tackle. The defensive line is nowhere close to making this tackle either, and all we have to do is make this safety miss, and that's what Mississippi State does for a touchdown. So that goes to show you that you better be ready for this, right? The screens to the running backs, the different shovels, all those different things. LSU's defensive line is one of the highest rated defensive lines according to Pro Football Focus, and I understand a lot of you are really excited about the pass rush and what they've been able to do. Let's be honest, they've gone up against not great offensive lines in recent weeks, and they have had very favorable rush situations. In other words, they were leading by a bunch of points, which obviously makes offenses more predictable. So yeah, it's pretty incredible when you think about it, right? This was just such a well-designed play right here by Louisiana Tech. Essentially what you saw earlier with Austin Williams, they sell this fake screen really well. So this wide receiver acts like he's blocking. Then this corner bites. Kendall was waiting for that corner to bite, and then we're obviously off to the races. Maybe Jake Pete sees this on film and does his own version of wide receiver screen fakes. We'll see. So, it's going to be very important to check in on your keys and also show Mississippi State some different looks. This is not the team to 4-down traditional rush against each and every snap. And, we use this comparison quite a bit. UCLA and Mississippi State are very similar. Offensive masterminds, more known for their yesteryears, that love playing against really aggressive defenses, okay? So you have to give these play callers, like Mike Leach, different looks, or else he's just going to manipulate the heck out of your defenses. So we'll see what happens. And obviously it gets worse if you don't have Stingley out there. But it's Dwight McGlothern time. Let's go. Hit it! Power. Hour. LSU. Boom! Oh, we're doing gumbo tonight. Let's go!